Hey there, this is Sergio with the Central California Conference Creative Arts Department. There are so many ways in which we can enhance our online worship program. One of those ways is by creating compelling graphics. We learned how to do that in another lesson where I showed you how you can use canva.com to do just that. A link to that video is below. Another way is by creating lower thirds. If you don't know what lower thirds are, let's keep watching and I'll show you exactly what that is and how you can create lower thirds by using the free online resource Pixlr.com. And without any further ado, let's get started. What we're going to be creating today is a lower third. Now, if you've ever watched a documentary or the news, you'll notice that whenever somebody is talking, all of a sudden their name appears at the bottom of the screen. That section is what is called the lower thirds. Now in this video, we're going to show you how you can create one of those. So let's go ahead and open up a browser and let's go to Pixlr.com. Let's go ahead and click Advanced. Now, if you've ever used Photoshop, this is similar to that, not as robust. However, it's very similar and very intuitive. If you've never used Photoshop, this is very simple to learn. Let's go ahead and click New. Now we're creating for video, so let's create in full HD 1920 by 1080 pixels. Now let's title this Lower Third. Now you'll see this background and it's checked off. We do not want a background, so we're going to keep that off and let's create. Now you'll notice here in this screen you see a checkered pattern. What that means is that it is blank. There is no background there. So you'll notice over here we have a layer. I want to create a new layer by clicking the plus button. I want to bring in an image and I want to bring in the blue Adventist logo at 200 pixels. So let's grab one of the corners and bring that down just a bit. Now, since we're creating in 1920 by 1080, this is the entire size of the screen on your video. So, placement of your lower third is going to be exactly where you want it on the video. So, normally it's about at this point on screen. So, let's design everything around that point. So, we already had a blank layer. Let's click that layer and you'll notice it's below the circle, the blue circle logo. It's below that. So keep that in mind. Now what I want to do is I want to create a rectangle. So let's click this shape button. And I want a rectangle, so let's click that. And stroke is at 5. That doesn't really matter for me right now. Fill is checked on, which means that it's going to be colored on the inside of the square. If you look here at these two colors, this white represents the stroke or the border of that rectangle. In here, the black, this represents the fill or the inside color of the rectangle. So right now, I want to create something that is the same color as the blue. And you'll notice that this color picker shows up and you can change the color. You'll see in this area right here that the color is changing. You can click here and change the color to whatever one you want. However, I want the color to be the same as this blue. So if you bring your cursor out, it's looking for different colors. And you'll notice that that blue highlights. So we'll click that and you'll see how it changes here. We like that, so we'll click OK. Now I can create my rectangle. So let's go ahead and start in here. And drag it out. Very nice. Now you'll notice that I have the blue on the stroke or the border of that rectangle and black on the inside. I don't want the black. So let's go ahead and click this color on the black. And you can click this as it's a saved color now. And we'll go ahead and click OK. Now you can click this paint bucket tool. and click inside. And now you have a shaded blue on the inside of your fill, which is exactly what you want. So now let's click this arrange button. And this just tells you that we can click the object and we can move it around and we can resize to our liking. Let's make it a little bit bigger. There we go. And we can click enter. And you'll remember this layer is below the blue circle, so it's behind the blue circle. So now we'll see that it's the same color, so it's kind of hidden. So what we can do is let's bring the transparency or the opacity of this rectangle down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this layer and you'll see transparency. It's at 100%. Let's bring that down and you'll notice how we can start to see through that rectangle. I like that at 60. Let's go down to 50% and see what that looks like. I like that. So let's go ahead and click out here. Now what I want to do is create a new layer, and let's create an empty layer. And so I want it to be behind the blue logo, but on top of the rectangle. And let's create a circle. So let's go ahead and click shape and then the circle. I want that circle to be with a black stroke, and I want the inside to be white. So let's drag this over here all the way to white and click OK. And let's create a circle. You'll notice that it's not a proportionate circle. So what we can do is while you're moving it, let's click Shift. Let's hold down Shift. And now it's proportionate. So there we go, you release. And now let's click this button right here and we can shift that circle down. That's a good spot for it. Now an added feature that we can add to give it a little bit of depth is we can put a little shadow behind that circle. So with that layer still selected, let's go ahead and go to Filter. Let's click out. Let's click the layer once again and click Filter. And you'll see down here you've got Drop Shadow. Let's go ahead and click that. And let's bring the opacity up a little bit, bring up the blur to about 20. And let's make the offset, bring it to about 7 and 7. And click apply. Now you see that shadow right under there. That gives it a little bit of depth. It's very nice. So let's go ahead and click another layer. It's going to be an empty layer. And let's still put that below the logo and the circle that we made. And let's click shape. And let's create a line. Now I want to switch the colors because I want the stroke to be white. So we have the line, we're at 5 pixels for our stroke, which is going to be just fine. So let's go ahead and start right about here. And we'll draw a line. Now you see we can draw that line however direction we want. If you want it to be a straight line, you can hold Shift and now it's straight. There you have it. And so let's move that line over just a bit. And let's move it down just a bit. That looks good right there. So now we want to add some text. So let's go ahead and click the plus sign to create a new layer, and we want to add a text layer. So right here, this is just placeholder text. You can type whatever you want. So let's just type in lower third. And let's select all. by hitting Command A if you're on a Mac or Control A if you're on a PC. Now I want to bring that text all the way to the left. So let's click this and left align. There you go. And the font is a little bit too big, because we can move this down and you'll see that the font is a little too big. It's not going to fit in our rectangle. So let's go ahead and click right here, the size, and we can bring the size of that font down just a bit. So let's keep it at 60, and that looks pretty good. That's a good spot for it. So now what do we want to do under this line? That's where you would probably put a department name or a company name. And so let's go ahead and duplicate this layer, this lower third layer. So let's right click and we can hit this button, which is duplicate layer. So now we have two of these layers. And let's type in company name. And you don't want it as prominent as the person's name. So let's go ahead and bring down the font size quite a bit. And let's move that over to the spot that we want it. And there you have it. We have a lower thirds. Now what we want to do is we want to save this file. So we'll go to File, we'll click Save, and it's saved as lower third. We want it as a PNG, 1920 by 1080. Perfect. We click Download and Save. And now let's open up our Finder. And let's open that up and see what it looks like. There we go. That's beautiful. Now you know how to create a lower third. In this lesson, we just went over what a lower third is and how to create one using the online resource Pixlr.com. If you would like to use the lower third that we just created, I'll provide a download link below. Also, if you have any questions regarding what we just went over, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section below. And if you want to learn more about ways to enhance your online worship program, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and keep checking back for further content.